Hey Jude. Yesterday, when I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. I wanna hold your hand.
We all know the Beatles for their endless stream of iconic hits. But what about the ones that never got their moment in the spotlight? Buried in demos, outtakes, or handed off to other artists, these songs proved that even the Beatles' leftovers were better than most bands' greatest hits. In today's video, we're uncovering 10 unreleased or lesser-known Beatles tracks that absolutely deserved to be hits. Some were too ahead of their time, some got lost in the chaos, and others were simply given away. But every one of them shows just how deep the Beatles' creative well really was. Let's dive into the hidden gems of the Fab Four's catalog. Leave My Kitten Alone is a raw, aggressive R&B cover that the Beatles recorded during sessions for Beatles for Sale, but mysteriously left off the final album. It features John Lennon in top form, delivering a fiery vocal that borders on primal, with just the right amount of edge and desperation. The band gives it their signature tight arrangement, with a thick, driving rhythm that shows their early love for American soul and rock and roll. If the Beatles had released this as a B-side, or even slipped it onto the album, it could have become a fan favorite and possibly a charting single. It later appeared on the Anthology 1 collection in 1995, giving fans a taste of what could have been.
You believe my kitten all alone.
That Means a Lot was written during the Help sessions and intended for inclusion on the album, or possibly even for the film's soundtrack. It was recorded multiple times in early 1965, but the band was never quite satisfied with the results. Ultimately, it was shelved and later handed off to singer P.J. Proby, whose version was produced by George Martin and released that same year. Paul later admitted that the band couldn't get the recording to sound right, and even called it a bad song. John reportedly felt the same, calling it Paul's song, but not one of his best.
Friend says that your love won't mean a lot.
George Harrison wrote Sour Milk Sea during the Beatles' 1968 spiritual retreat in Rishikesh, India. Inspired by Eastern philosophy, the lyrics reflect detachment. Though the Beatles never released a finished studio version, they did record an acoustic demo at George's house as part of the Esher demos, and George eventually produced a full band version for fellow Apple artist Jackie Lomax. The recording featured a Beatle-heavy supergroup lineup: George on guitar, Paul on bass, Ringo on drums, Eric Clapton on lead guitar, and Nicky Hopkins on piano. Paul wrote Junk during the Beatles' retreat in Rishikesh, India in early 1968. With its minimal lyrics and delicate melody, Junk taps into the same emotional space as songs like Yesterday and Blackbird. It's wistful, haunting, and emotionally rich, qualities that often resonated with Beatles fans and the broader public. The band was overloaded with material during the White Album sessions, and tensions were running high. With proper Beatles production, maybe George Martin adding light orchestration, it could have become a small masterpiece.
Standing in the garden, waiting for the sun to shine.
Watching Rainbows was recorded during the messy, turbulent Get Back sessions at Twickenham Studios on a day when George Harrison had temporarily quit the band.
Instead of watching rainbows, I'm gonna meet the sun.
It was in this looser, improvisational setting that Watching Rainbows came to life. The song wasn't fully written, it was more of a spontaneous Lennon jam, but the energy and lyrical imagery show it could have grown into a real track if the Beatles had taken it seriously. The song shares similarities with I've Got a Feeling and Mean Mr. Mustard.
Everybody had a good time. Everybody had a wet dream. His sister Shelley works in the shop. She never stops. She's a go-getter. Please don't wake me up too late. Tomorrow comes and
Paul McCartney wrote Goodbye in 1969 as a follow-up to Mary Hopkins' smash hit Those Were the Days, which he also produced.
Those were the days, my friend, we thought they'd never end.
He recorded a solo acoustic demo, voice, guitar, and hand claps, to show her how it should be performed. Hopkins' version was a hit in the UK, reaching number 2 on the charts. Goodbye is one of those songs that shows just how effortlessly great the Beatles were, even in their throwaways. Had the band recorded it together, it could have easily been a hit single or fan-favorite deep cut. It's McCartney magic, and a missed opportunity for another gem in the official Beatles catalog.
she tastes as Mongolian lamb. She coming from out.
This song came out of the same avant-garde corner of John's brain that birthed Revolution 9. The track is a surreal, experimental piece combining a simple and kind of catchy melody with chaotic sound effects and a final descent into noisy absurdity. The lyrics are bizarre, and the structure gets stranger as it goes on. Melody turns to madness. It was seriously considered for inclusion on the White Album, but ultimately left off, probably because it was just too weird, even for a double album full of eclectic oddities. George wrote Circles during the Beatles' time in India in 1968 while they were studying transcendental meditation. It was part of a large batch of songs demoed at George's house in Esher that year, some of which made it onto the White Album. But Circles didn't make the cut, possibly due to its heavy reflective tone and abstract structure.
Friends come and friends go. I go round.
It eventually surfaced years later on Gone Troppo, in a synth-heavy arrangement, but the original Beatles-era demo has a raw, mystical quality that many fans find far more compelling. If Circles had been recorded with full band treatment, it might have stood alongside Within You Without You as one of George's great philosophical statements.
He who knows does not speak, he who speaks does not know.
John and Paul wrote If You've Got Trouble, specifically for Ringo to sing on Help. It was recorded during the album sessions but quickly shelved, replaced by Ringo's cover of Act Naturally, which ended up being the more charming, country-tinged fan favorite. Only one take of If You've Got Trouble was recorded, and even the band didn't seem impressed by it. In fact, George Harrison once called it the most weird song they ever did. Ouch. If You've Got Trouble probably wasn't destined to be a hit, but in a parallel universe where the Beatles leaned into a rawer, garage rock sound, it could have been a cult favorite.
If you got trouble, then you got less trouble than me. If you want it, here it
Paul wrote and recorded Come and Get It in just under an hour at Abbey Road, playing all the instruments himself. The song was meant for the soundtrack of The Magic Christian, a film starring Ringo Starr and Peter Sellers. Instead of keeping it for the Beatles, Paul gave it to the then unknown band Badfinger, who were signed to Apple Records. The Badfinger version became a major hit in 1970, reaching the top 10 in both the US and UK.
If you want it, here it is, come and get it.
The Beatles' own version didn't see the light of day until Anthology 3 in 1996. Come and Get It is arguably the greatest Beatles song never released as a Beatles song. And there you have it, 10 Beatles songs that never got their time in the spotlight, but totally deserved it. Which one do you think should have been a hit? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell for more hidden gems and rock history deep dives. See you in the next one.